further notifications and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So, the second test match between India and Australia got on the way today from Adelaide. It was the pink ball test match, and Australia have an impeccable record in this pink test match. They have won 11 out of the 12 games and lost only one. And after the first day, it's evident why they have such an impressive record in this pink ball test match. India once again won the toss and decided to bat in overcast conditions. Once again, Rohit Sharma made the same mistake that he had made in Chinnaswamy Stadium against New Zealand. He decided to bat under overcast conditions. Instead of taking advantage of the conditions himself, he led the opposition into the game on a pitch that was relatively fresh. Just keeping in mind that the ball usually does a lot, in the evening session, India decided to bat first, and that too when the conditions were overcast, and you have three very good pace bowlers in the Australian side. Even though Josh Hazel was not playing, you still had Scott Boland, who is a handful in Australian conditions. And India found out very early that it wasn't the right decision probably. Yashasvi Jaiswal, who was on a high after the first test, where he had scored a magnificent 161, got out to the first ball to Mitchell Starc, got plumb in front. Once again, cricket is a great leveler. In the last test match, when Jaiswal was batting in his hundreds, he said to Starc that he was bowling slow, and Starc just smiled at him. Now, in the second test match, Starc got him of the very first delivery, and the intensity from Mitchell Starc was very there for everyone to see. He was ecstatic, and that was the momentum that the Australians needed going into the test match. Remember, they have lost in Perth, and the whole Australian team faced a lot of criticism from their former players and their media. So they were under immense pressure to perform, and India had once again gifted away the advantage by batting first on that overcast condition. And Mitchell Starc, for one, was up for it. The luck initially went in India's way. KL Rahul was caught behind of a no ball. Then he was dropped by Usman Khawaja, but still India couldn't make much of that drop chance. Despite Gill and Rahul batting beautifully and putting on a partnership of 68 runs for the second wicket, India lost their way, and they once again lost wickets in heaps, in clusters. That has been the problem with India in the recent past. They have lost 4 to 5 wickets in a bunch and thereby given the advantage away to the opposition. Once again, they were 16-9 for 1, and that quickly changed to 81 for 4. So a good first session quickly turned out to be a nightmare. Once again, Virat Kohli was caught at slip by Steven Smith, the identical dismissal from the first innings of the first test. Once again, trying to leave a ball outside off stump of the front foot, he couldn't get his bat out of the way and caught him in the slips. A batsman of standard, he keeps on making the same mistakes over and over again. It's difficult for players to see for such a great talent in Virat Kohli giving the advantage away far too often. And then the ball was swinging. The pink ball usually swings a lot more than the red ball, and hence it is very difficult to face. And the Indians also gifted some of their wickets away, especially Shubman Gill. After batting so beautifully, getting on to a good start, he missed a full delivery of Scott Boland and was caught plumb in front. That was a half volley that should have been driven straight for four. Instead, he tried to flick it and he was caught plumb in front. And India quickly they went from position of strength to nearly getting bowled out for less than 150 runs. This problem from India has been going on for quite some time now. They haven't been able to bat their full quota of 90 overs for a very long time. Only in the last test match have they managed to bat well, that too in the second innings, and they managed to bat for a pretty long time. But in the first innings, they were bowled out in 48 overs. Once again, the first innings of this test match, they got bowled out for 48 overs. That would have been even less hadn't been Nitish Kumar Reddy had some lusty blows of Mitchell Starc and got India to 180. Reddy has been a revelation for India in this tour. In all the three innings that he has played in this test series, he has looked good in all of them. He has scored runs in pressure situations and in every single match, in innings rather, except for the second one, he has run out of partners. He was the last man who was dismissed today also. But in that brief innings, Reddy showed that he is very much a man for the future. The reverse scoop of Scott Boland for a six was just as impressive as it gets. No one could have fathomed a shot like that under such immense pressure. But it was due to that innovative play from Reddy that India actually managed to get to 180. They were 141 for 8. Once again, they're at the cusp of being bowled out for less than 150. But Nitish Kumar Reddy, with his impressive batting, made sure that India crossed 150 runs. So after being bowled out for 180, the focus was on India's bowling because the pink ball always swings a lot more than the new ball, and at night it's even difficult to play, more difficult. Especially the twilight session is extremely difficult for batsmen. And with Jasprit Bumrah with the ball in his hand, it was not going to be easy for the Australian batsmen. But unlike the bowling in Perth, the Indian bowling in Adelaide was not that good. They bowled a bit too short. Most of the balls were missing the stumps, and the Australians could leave the balls at ease. And once again, after being dismissed for 180 runs, India dropped a straightforward catch of opener Nathan McSweeney. Rishabh Pant left in front of Rohit Sharma, and it was a regulation catch that could have given India the first wicket. But McSweeney capitalized and batted beautifully throughout the remainder of the session and was unbeaten. The only wicket that India got was that of Usman Khwaja, once again dismissed by Jasprit Bumrah. Except for Bumrah, it must be said that all the Indian bowling looked rather average. Yes, Mohammad Siraj did try his heart out. He ran in ball after ball from the end and kept on bowling. But once again, he was a bit too short, as was Harshit Rana. And Manas Labuschagne and McSweeney, they left so many balls at ease. This should be a lesson for the Indian batsmen as well. They tried to play every single ball and they could manage to nick them. All the dismissals of Rahul, Virat, none of them were hitting the stumps. They were balls outside the off stump, maybe fourth or fifth stump, and they edged that to slips. And the wicket was rather fresh at that time to time. It will become easier for batting tomorrow when the sun is out, and India unfortunately do not have too many runs on the board. For the second test match in a row, it appears that the match is going to be pretty much one sided. There is no coming back from this position. Australia are 80 for 1 at the end of day's play, 85 for 1 at the end of day's play. They trailed by 95 runs and with 9 wickets in hand. And they would be overjoyed with their performance today. The entire day belonged to Australia after a horrendous performance at Perth. They have bounced back beautifully, and the exact opposite can be said about India. Rohit Sharma, who came back into the team after missing the first test and batted in the middle, he looked extremely out of sorts. Rohit has been out of form, and after many years, he was batting down the order because they didn't want to break the opening combination of Rahul and Jaiswal. Well, that was the right decision, but batting down the order has obviously impacted Rohit Sharma. He is no longer the player that he was in the beginning of his career. He is usually flamboyant up top and likes to dominate the new ball. So India have a problem up their sleeve where to bat Rohit. And Rohit isn't in any decent form. Once again, he missed a ball, pretty straightforward ball of Scott Boland, and was caught in front. This has been happening to him for quite some time now, and you can't find form in the middle of a five test match series. It's difficult for India to bounce back after such a bad day today. It has been an extremely poor performance from Team India, and they basically have thrown away the advantage. The Australians will now bounce back. They've lost the first test by 295 runs. Probably they will win this test match by a similar margin. And what is even worse is all their batters will come back into form. Labuschagne, who had been struggling in the very first match and even in the second test as well, he kind of batted himself into some form. He left the ball well, and after having survived that session, he would be full of confidence heading into tomorrow's morning session. Since it's the pink ball test, it's a day and night test match, it will begin in the afternoon session. The afternoon session is probably the easiest time to bat, and India do not have the runs on the board, unfortunately. Australia would look to capitalize, and one or two good sessions would mean that they would have a lead and probably bat India out of the game. They would virtually return the favor that India gave to them in the first test match. It was a disappointing performance from India. Probably they could have, after winning the toss, they could have bowled first because the pitch was relatively fresh and the pink ball, it swings a lot. Most of the Indian batsmen appear to have faced the problems of ball coming too fast, especially Rahul and Kohli. The ball appeared to have bounced a lot, as was the case with Rishabh Pant. But the Australians bowled well. They bowled to a plan. And what's most unfortunate is India fell into that trap. Instead of trying to show off the attack, they went out all guns blazing and they were bowled out for 180. It's a small total. Pink patch test matches do not have big totals. Last time in Adelaide, India were bowled out for 36 runs against this same Australian side. It was in the second innings, after having had a lead of 50 runs in the first innings. So it's not a good memory for Team India and the pink ball test match. And after what has transpired today, that will remain in the back of the head of the Indian management as well. Can India make any sort of comeback in this test match? It looks highly unlikely, but for that to happen, they need to bowl well in the first session. Another thing that was pretty strange was Rohit Sharma not bowling Ravichandran Ashwin at all and giving him only one over right at the end of the day's play. And in that over, the ball turned. When nothing is happening for the pace bowlers, why not give an over to a spinner? That spinner who has picked up 536 test wickets is not an ordinary spinner. When the two batsmen are playing the pacers well, why not turn to a premier wicket taker in Ashwin? Probably Rohit missed a trick over there. Probably, again, he played into that same idea that the pink ball does much in the night session. The pace bowlers pick up the most number of wickets. So he followed that pattern. He didn't think out of the box. He eventually gave Ashwin one over and the ball turned. He could have given him a couple of more overs. Remember, McSweeney is playing only second test match. And Labuschagne isn't someone who is in great form at the moment. And Ashwin has dismissed Labuschagne in the past. So he could have given him at least 2 or 3 overs and seen how it went, rather than giving him only one over, that too at the end of the day's play. Australia would be buoyant after the first test play in Adelaide. India would be equally depressed going into the second day. It was a great day for Test cricket, and India need to bounce back in order to have any chance in the Test match. They are already behind the 8 ball, but you can never count this Indian team out. Jasprit Bumrah once again bowled very well, but he was short of partners. The inexperience of Harshit Rana and Nitish Reddy showed at times when everything is going good for you, then no one can criticize you. But when you are under pressure and the time comes for you to bowl 5 good deliveries on the same spot, then it appears difficult. And today, both Rana and Reddy were guilty of bowling too short. Not one of their balls hit the wicket, and the Australian openers could leave the ball at ease. If you look at the pitch map, most of the Indian bowlers bowled at the 8-meter mark. And when the commentators were commentating, they kept keeping on saying that the best length was between 4 and 6 meters because the pink ball bounces a lot more than the red ball. This sort of research has to be done by the Indian cricket team management. They could have sent a message out to their bowlers to bowl at least a foot up to the batsmen because both Labuschagne and McSweeney were leaving balls on length and they were doing so with ease. These are the small adjustments that India needed to make in their batting as well. Australia learned from the Indian first innings. Most of the dismissals that India had were nicking off to slips to balls that were way outside the off stump. And Labuschagne was leaving balls on length. Those are good deliveries. He was leaving balls on middle stump that were bouncing over the stumps. He was leaving on length. He trusted the bounce of the wicket. In Perth, there was uneven bounce. The ball was skipping low, but not so in Adelaide over here. The bounce was pretty even, and Labuschagne and McSweeney trusted the bounce. So the Indian bowlers could have bowled a little bit fuller, but inexperience and pressure, the scoreboard pressure wasn't there because India had been bowled out for 180. They do not have plenty of runs to play with. That also played a factor, and that will play even more factor in the next day, tomorrow. Because if India are not able to get early wickets, then it might be a long day for them in the field. Let me know in the comment section what you feel. And if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.